Members of the US House of Representatives have mounted a fresh challenge to President Donald Trump's tariff regime on India, moving to overturn the national emergency declaration that enabled duties to rise as high as 50%. The lawmakers argued that the tariffs are illegal, counterproductive and disproportionately hurting the American consumers and businesses. The resolution was introduced on Friday by Representatives Deborah Ross, Marc Veasey and Raja Krishnamoorthi. It specifically targeted the additional 25% secondary tariffs imposed on August 27, 2025, which were stacked on top of earlier reciprocal duties. All right, in fact, let's take you through that resolution that those three House of Representatives members have in fact brought to the floor of the House. When we are looking at this resolution, this actually deals with terminating the national emergency declared to impose duties on articles imported from India. Now, in this House of Representatives, Ms. Ross introduces the following joint resolution, which has now been referred to the committee. So, the joint resolution, it states that they should terminate the national emergency declared to impose duties on articles imported from India, resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled pursuant to Section 202 of the National Emergencies Act. The national emergency, which was declared on August 6, 2025 by the President in the Executive Order number 1432-9, is terminated. So, this is the joint resolution that has been put forth by these three members of the House of Representatives. To take this discussion forward, joining us on the broadcast is Ambassador K.P. Fabian, former diplomat. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast. A very good morning to you. So, when we are looking at this resolution, there are these three members who are pushing forward this idea that the additional tariffs that has been introduced by the US of 25% these are called the secondary tariffs. They are stating that this should be terminated because it is disappropriate and it is not, and it is impacting everyone from the American workers to the people living in the country and also the imports.
Yes, good morning to you. The three House representatives, including the Indian origin, I think Raja Krishnamoorthi is his name. They are absolutely right, because what President Trump has done by imposing 25% additional tariffs on India for buying oil from Russia is illogical. It is bad policy, and it is against the interests of America and its consumers. And let us see what happens. It is quite likely that President Trump is slowly waking up to the fact that his philosophy of imposing tariffs right and left, with or without reasons, is a failed policy, and he should retreat from it. Let us see.
So, when we are looking at this resolution, this seems to be part of a broader effort by various congressional Democrats who are trying to actually challenge the Donald Trump's resolutions and executive orders that he has actually brought in place. Do you also see it like that? Because earlier as well, they have tried to bring in resolutions that actually challenge this, sir.
Yes. There is a move in the Congress, that is in the House of Representatives as well as in the Senate, to curtail President Trump's arbitrary actions in regard to tariffs and even other matters such as plans to attack Venezuela. So there is a backlash, and the movement to curtail President Trump's arbitrary exercise of presidential powers is gaining momentum. But I wouldn't immediately conclude that he will be forced to reverse. That can take time.
So, also do you believe that these representatives have stated in their plea that this will help repair the strained bilateral ties that are currently between India and the US? Do you also believe that if US takes back these additional 25% tariffs apart from the reciprocal tariffs that are in place, do you believe that the ties will become even better?
Well, that will be a good first step. For the ties to get better, we also need a proper, fair trade deal, a trade deal that takes into account the interests of both the parties, not only of one party, namely the United States. So if we have got a fair trade deal also, then you can say that relations would have been restored. But it will be a very good beginning, first step.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, this is a very important resolution that has come to the fore. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and giving us that valuable perspective. With that, we've come to the end of this bulletin. We will see you on the other side of this commercial.